somewhere around 22 minutes of the recording, number one of this S1191f. It occurred to me that we hold to this dichotomy of objects compared to actions. If you like, it's a basic in our language, nouns and verbs, which has been very useful in our survival. You know, it's hard to imagine what we'd be like if we didn't think in this way. But because we can experience actions in a sort of doing time sense, but objects we experience tangibly and only in the present. I mean, we surmise they were in the past and the future, but you know, we can only experience in the present. But there, I've said the very key without realizing it. We can only experience, which is live, of course, in the present. Visualize the past, how it may have been, and the future, how it may become. The reality for sure is only the now. What I'm experiencing now. And I may be analysing that according to my thoughts. But again, the thoughts are an experience. I had this problem in meditation when they said, oh, you should fix your mind on so-and-so. Do you mean so-and-so in relation to other things, or just stare at it blankly? Or do you mean I'm supposed to experience its shape or look at its shape? But then I'd be looking at one part or the other. And of course its appearance and shape and presence is only meaningful in comparison to what else it could be, or what else is around it, or what we're comparing it to. In other words, to focus on exclusively, to meditate, couldn't possibly mean anything but an action, not a stillness at all. The mind cannot be still and meditating. It can be in a state of not thinking. But it can't be happy or unhappy about that until it thinks about it. And that's an action. In a sense, it's an action of the mind. And of course, more simply, we realize quite quickly that it's this awareness of, which we can hardly see. I can't see your awareness. I can only see the consequences of it. Our awareness is everything. You know, if I'm not aware of the house being here, well, perhaps it's not here. I mean, it's not benefiting me and I can't use it and create bearing it in mind and so on, you know, because it doesn't exist. Or at least the uncertainty is so great, you know, I can't see it and feel it. And so life is an intangible, not a tangible. It's not an object. It's not like saying, here is the soul, this is life, and it's this length and it's made of this material. The soul would be something intangible, and we're thinking of, in some sense, it's the essence of life. And the essence of life is intangible. Now, I don't have to have a theory as to how the intangible can come into existence, because it doesn't exist in a material form. It exists in some non-material form. Well, I can't analyze the substance of such, because the substance is not a substance. I could call it a substance, so it would only be a way of imagining what life is. And it would probably be misleading if I do that too, because it clearly is not physical, material substance. It's more something to do with the experience, which is something linked up with thought. So, we are of the view from the material preoccupation we have in the world, objects and things in the way and things to sit on and so on, that that's what matters. But it's not, it's life. And it's not reasonable to assume life is past, present, or future. It may be of a different dimension, what we might loosely refer to as being, or the intangible. It exists, yes, but not in a tangible way. It can have tangible consequences. But, well, even thought might be able to register that it's going on in the brain with some machine or something, but it's pretty intangible, isn't it? But what I'm saying is that the dimension in which life isn't necessarily also of a time nature, any more than it's of a mass gravitational nature, or physical dimensions, length, breadth and height. In other words, it may be in a world, a dimension, not like our own, space, mass, time. But we're in this dimension of space, matter and time for a certain purpose. Now, I've simplistically assumed that purpose is to prepare us for the future, because I'm thinking in terms of past, present and future, because that's what's relevant in this dimension as we find it. But reality may be much other than this. And we're not likely to know at this level. We can only surmise and then see if the predictions from such considerations are found to be true in the practice that we have here or not. When we are confronted with the inexplicable, well, we just have to say, don't have a reasonable theory for that to cover this, to explain this. I can put it in the unexplained box, which might be labelled supernatural, beyond our understanding, beyond our present knowledge. I don't know how my phone really works, but in some sense I know how to use it to great advantage, given my being and purposing in this present world. And so it's not that we have to draw a blank and remain with a blank, but we do have to find out how to use the unexplained, that which we can't understand. We can still find what's predictable of it, in a sense, in our domain, our dimensions, and use such to great advantage. And that's what we're doing when we say, well, what is the way to life eternal? And Jesus' answer is, well, perhaps it's recognizing that God is your dad, friendly, capable, faithful, earnest, and all these qualities that we value. And if you see that, if you really hold to this belief, this understanding, this view, you become much more hopeful, much more assured, much happier, content, peaceful, understanding of others, happier, a blessing, and blessed. Right, so I haven't explained God, but I do know the way to go. In other words, Jesus' story advice, if it's found to be that useful, is going to be followed with good reason. Do you see? In a sense, I've proved it, in that it's proved to be a great blessing to hold this view. So I do. Thank you, Heavenly Dad.